Welcome back to another tutorial. Today we are showing you how to make a lace crown, perfect for pups, children, women, men, everybody can wear these. Super easy, super cute. Let's get started. So here's what you're going to need. Some lace, the bigger the better, some felt, a fabric stiffener, this one's called Stiffy and we think it works really well, some paper towel, elastic, we use millinery elastic because it's nice and thin and you can hide it in photos, adjuster to put on the elastic, otherwise if you don't want to use that you can just tie it, flowers of choice to make your crown look beautiful, a measuring tape, scissors or a rotary cutter which is optional, and a hot glue gun. So starting out with your lace, you want to measure approximately 30 centimeters and make sure to cut between the points because it's going to make it a lot easier to line up once we make the crown later on. I'm now taking my cutting mat and rotary cutter and using the lace as a guide, I'm just going to cut a very small strip of felt. It's probably only a centimeter width. And just using my quilting tool to make it straight. This is going to go around the inside of the crown to keep it nice and stiff and make sure that it doesn't pull weirdly when placed on the head. I'm then going to cut another piece of felt about 10 centimeters across and 4 centimeters high. Depending on the height of your lace, that will depend how high you want to cut it. My lace is quite high, I think it's about 15 centimeters, so I'm going pretty big with this. Then fold this in half and just cut around the outside to make a circle shape. So you're now going to use your fabric stiffener. I'm wearing gloves for this. I don't actually know if it matters if it gets on your hands, but I don't particularly want it on there. And just taking a spare container, making sure it's all shaken well. I'm then going to place a large amount of fabric stiffener into the container. Putting some paper towel down so I don't make a mess. And simply dunking the lace into that fabric stiffener. You want to get it very well saturated. Squeezing out any excess. And then laying it flat on the paper towel. And you want to make sure it's as flat as possible because this is how it will dry. Grabbing the long piece of felt that you cut, we're going to shove that in there as well. Drain off excess and lay that flat. I then usually place this in the sun for a few hours. It doesn't take a super long time to dry. And while that's drying, we're going to move on to our flowers. So taking the other felt piece that we cut and your glue gun, you're going to simply start placing flowers on there. So I like to take off the base of the flowers so that they stick easier and they're not as bulky once on the crown. So I take the base off and add some glue so that the flowers don't come apart. I then also add glue inside of the petals because I do find that the flowers I have tend to come apart, mostly because I've taken the base off. So I just do that for all of them to make sure they're not going to come apart. Once I've done that, I cut off each of the stems as close to the flower as I can. Add a generous amount of hot glue. Stick that down on my felt and then I'm using a jar to sort of mold the felt around it. This is just going to mean it will sit on the crown a lot more easy as it's already bent in that circle type of shape. I'm going to repeat this process for all of my flowers. I like to just sort of place them down, see if it's going to look good, then glue it, mold it around my jar, etc. So the final step for me is just adding my gold leaves in for a special touch. Make sure to pull off all the glue webs. My hot glue gun is notorious for this. And as you can see, by placing it on the jar, it's given that slightly rounded shape so that it will sit on the crown nicely. So take your lace and you're going to glue just one end of that. Take the other end, and I always line up my points, which is why it's important to cut between the points. Once I've done that, I'm going to take the elastic. This was about 60 centimeters long, but it really depends on the head size of who you're going to be putting this on. So I'm just threading it through the lace and doing a double knot. When we make these for the website, we actually sew them on a sewing machine, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we're just going to be knotting them because we know not everybody has a sewing machine and we want to keep it nice and easy for you. So I cut off the excess elastic, repeat on the other side. And then once I've done that, I'm just going to burn the elastic a little bit so that it won't fray, but you could actually just add your fabric stiffener onto the end of that if you wanted to. And then threading this through the adjuster, you obviously don't need one of these. You can just knot the elastic under the chin, but totally up to you. Then taking the piece of stiffened felt, we're going to simply add glue to that, and we're going to be gluing it on the base of the crown on the inside. I find that this just allows the crown to sit perfectly on the head without it distorting weird when the elastic's pulled. It's definitely optional, but I just think that it gives a better finish overall. I then ended up putting a piece of fabric down just because I was getting hot glue everywhere. And now for the best part, adding the flowers. So simply add a whole bunch of hot glue on the back of that. Stick it on your crown. I also like to mold that again over a jar. Doesn't really matter at this point though. And that is it. That's the entire tutorial. It's so easy and the end result is just absolutely gorgeous. Super customizable. You can use any color lace you want. You can use white lace and paint it yourself. The possibilities are endless. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Stay tuned for more and also let us know what else you'd like us to make.